We are going through what I would call the sort of typical growing pains from being an opposition party to a governing party.
This hour, lawmakers in the House Energy and Commerce Committee continue the work on this bill.
The bill as it stands now has serious problems. The president indicated they're working to make it better.
We have confirmation that U.S. Marines are on the ground in Syria.
That will bring these Marines very close to the Islamic State's de facto capital of Raqqa, Syria.
President Trump taps former Utah Governor Jon Huntsman to be the next U.S. ambassador to Russia.
Hawaii is now the first state to challenge President Trump's new travel ban.
The entire history and culture of Hawaii is based upon non-discrimination.
The FBI is on the hunt for a mole inside the CIA.
We need to find those people and we need to stop them. They're traitors. They should be treated like traitors.
Playing that song because Brian was telling us his dirty little secrets.
Right.
Brian, enough.
I know. You know what? It was wrong for me to do that.
What?
I apologize.
What dirty little secret?
I can't tell you. It wouldn't be a dirty little secret anymore.
So you two have secrets from me.
Right, absolutely.
We'll tell you in the next break.
Right.
20 years and that's what I get.
Absolutely.
No, we're pretty boring.
Right.
There are no secrets.
By the way, the whole first floor of the White House up, the second floor just one room. I think that's pretty significant.
That's the kitchen.
I hope they're whispering.
I think it could be just Donald Trump alone in the house today. I think.
Well, across
he
the
doesn't have
street-
any appointments till 10:30, so he could actually
He's
play
busy.
golf.
Across the street, though, the lights are all on. The lawmakers have been up all night talking about Obamacare, trying to sort through it and make adjustments and improvements and changes.
That's right. This is a Fox News alert. Overnight, House Ways and Means, about 4 o'clock this morning, passed the Republican legislation. They'd been marketed up for 16 hours. That means they were essentially writing the law. Now it's going to go on to the House Budget Committee, where it will vote in the full House shortly, and then it proceeds on to the Senate. And the Senate really is the problem. Keep in mind, there are 52 Republican senators, so that means the president could lose 2. But right now, 8 Republican senators are skeptical, not real crazy about what the House is doing.
He needs 51 votes. And there are 52 Republicans.
Right,
So
and
it's gonna be
then
close.
Mike Pence could then break the
tie.
Right. So it's through Ways and Means. It took till 4 in the morning, but through Ways and Means Committee. But Steve, I don't even think they were working. It was a big delay of game. Now they were working, excuse me. But the Democrats were just
you call that
putting things
working?
in. They were just throwing things in the way and stopping this whole thing in a big slowdown and an homage to Elizabeth Warren, or that's what Senator Schumer would do. So it gets through. I'm not convinced it yet has the numbers for the House, because how much play do they have? They have 20. They have about 20 votes in the House. That Freedom Caucus has not been sold yet, and that's why we're going to have bowling next week. Not Eric, but actually bowling.
Right.
There's going to be pizza and bowling next week at the White House, and there's work in the phones last night, and is the president, and special dinners is the president. So I think it's going to be very tough.
The Democrats do not like this repeal and replace plan. So they've been stalling. They were dragging it out all night. Some of the Democrats were saying, we need you to read every single word out loud of this bill, and they did it. So that took a lot of time, and that's why House Ways and Means didn't pass it till 4:15 in the morning.
By the way, I did my book on tape. You did your book on tape, right?
How long did it
It's
take
brutal to read 120 pages out
takes
loud.
a long time.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's me.
Well, then you should have written a children's book, because that's pretty easy.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, Paul Ryan, who says, look, this is going to pass the House. I got 218 votes. Don't know where he's coming up with them. Nonetheless, he says what is going on right now is typical when you were the opposition party and now you are the party in charge. Here's what he said last night to Tucker.
We are going through what I would call the sort of typical growing pains from being an opposition party fighting Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid to a governing party. And now we're translating that legislation, that plan, into a bill. Look, I'm really excited.
So what I essentially am getting from this is, do you remember Obamacare passed as an outline, not a detailed bill? And then Kathleen Sebelius basically wrote the whole thing with input, obviously, because she
on
had
Christmas
this power.
Eve in Harry Reid's office.
Yeah, on Health and Human Services Secretary.
And
She had all
Nancy
this
Pelosi
power.
said, we'll read it after it passes.
Right, and because they hadn't written it yet. That was the key. So she wasn't saying it's there, we just haven't showed you. She said we haven't outlined it in detail yet. So what Tom Price is saying, and he knows the inside like nobody else, plus a doctor when he was a congressman, now he's secretary, is I'm going to redo all these provisions, get rid of the ones that didn't work, put the ones in that do work, that have conservative principles. So he has got to go sell that plan not only to us, the American people, he's also got to show the Freedom Caucus and other conservatives, look, I got to pass it this way for legislative purposes because it's got to go to the Senate and it's got to work. It can't be symbolism anymore. And then trust me, when this thing comes to me, I'm going to put in the conservative principles I've been talking about for 7.5 years.
Well, we're going to have Tom Price on with us. Also, Senator Rand Paul coming up as well. I have heard that's a nice lineup right there.
Two Republicans on different sides of the Obamacare issue.
But both seem happy by those
They
photos.
do in those images. I have heard that the White House was actually surprised, maybe shocked is a good word to use, to see that some of the things that Donald Trump ran on for president were not in phase one. They found out when the House showed him the bill, and it's like, hey, where's this part? And then there was some explaining to do.
Right. We do understand it'll be in phase two, and Donald Trump tweeted that out 2 days ago. Don't worry, you'll be able to buy insurance across state lines. Don't worry.
That's phase three.
Tort reform. Yeah, it'll be worked in gradually.
Yeah, who knew there were going to be three phases?
Bottom line is there are three different phases, and hopefully they'll get this all worked out by the time the third phase is here.
But the question is, does Donald Trump going to have the flexibility? Is he going to use his negotiating skills to say, hey, Elijah Cummings, I know you want big pharma reined in and medicine prices brought down. I hear you. I'm going to put that in. Hey, I hear what you say, Jim Jordan. I'm going to push Paul Ryan to do that. Or is it going to be just do exactly what I want you to do, and we'll fix it later?
Well, he might disagree with some of it. I mean, just because every senator might weigh in and say, I want this, I want this, I want this, or every House member, it doesn't necessarily mean that the president needs to put it in.
But he could put, is he going to show any flexibility? Is Paul Ryan going to show flexibility?
Here's the thing. Donald Trump would like to have the House and then the Senate pass stuff that he campaigned on. And once again, you know, it's all about the campaign promises, and we've seen so many campaign promises kept with the executive orders. And yesterday there was a surprise. ADP, the processor, revealed that the economy here in the United States added close to 300,000 jobs. That was about 100,000 more than were expected.
That was for the month of February.
Wow.
Exactly.
And that is something we have not seen. It's going to drop the overall unemployment rate down to 4.7%. And I've never seen something as off as predictions. We usually see in 10 or 20 up or down, but 100,000 off from the projection?
Unbelievable.
It's amazing. It's great. And first there was Carrier, then there was Ford, and then there was Boeing and Lockheed Martin, just to name a few. We've continued to see jobs, jobs, jobs. And this morning there's a report saying that Samsung doesn't just make smartphones and TVs, they also make appliances.
They do.
And they're going to bring 500 jobs from Mexico here to the U.S. to make oven ranges here in America.
Which is a $300 million contract, which would be great. That way, good news for building stuff here in the United States again.
Good news for us. Our new studio, we are going to have an oven.
I knew you were going to say
something. We're going to have a range oven. So maybe Samsung wants to make a bid on that.
There we
Fantastic.
go.
So keeping the Donald Trump, President of the United States, keeping that campaign promise to bring more jobs to the United States. And what about his number one signature issue when it came to illegal immigration? According to the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, in the first month as president, illegal immigration into the United States from our southern border has dropped 40%.
Yeah, look at the numbers. January, they apprehended more than 31,000. February, 18,000.
40% down. Is it the rhetoric? Is it the policies? Secretary John Kelly, the general, talked about that last night. Listen to this.
In fact, it's a full screen, Steve.
Oh, look at that.
Because he does not want to talk on camera, but he did type this out. Can we get the typing noises during this?
Hold on, I got my keyboard.
All right, the drop in apprehension shows, slow down, Steve, change it, they'll know it's not me. There you go. Change in trends. Since the administration's implementation of executive orders to enforce immigration laws, and apprehensions and admissible activity is trending towards the lowest monthly total in the last 5 years. It's all about sending a message. You got to either come here now or don't try it. The word is out. America's enforcing its borders, and as
that's the key. Enforcement. Enforcement and deterrence.
I was surprised to see the number go down because, to your point, I thought more people would start coming in because they know the wall is going to eventually go up.
That was December. They were trying to get in before the inauguration. And finally, speaking of immigration, and we've been talking a lot about refugees, there's a fellow who's been running for mayor. He's been elected 5 times. His name is Christopher Louris up in Rutland, Vermont. And he had a platform. He said, I'm going to bring in 100 more Syrian and Iranian refugees every year to help stir the economy. And as it turns out, the people of Rutland, Vermont did not like that idea. He lost his re-election.
And here's the quote.
He said, though I wanted to think this was not a referendum on refugee resettlement, I continue to believe, as I've articulated, that Rutland is a microcosm of the national conservation on immigration and refugees. And ultimately, it was not an election on the issues, but an election based on emotions.
And if you think of that, that's the micro. In the macro picture, you see the American people voted for Donald Trump in many cases as President of the United States because they were being totally ignored. Refugees resettlement. We're going to be moving manufacturing out. This is the world economy as it is. These jobs are gone forever. And in terms, they go, no, we're voting for the other person. And the election message was sent. Again, this is what this mayor's saying. I totally missed it because you're out checking with the people. You're telling the people what they should want, and they don't want that.
Right. Look what happened in the last election. Hillary Clinton campaigned on that. She wanted the refugees. She wanted to help all of these people coming into our country. Didn't want to do the vetting process, at least when she was running.
So the people of Rutland, Vermont vetted
Which surprises you, doesn't it, Vermont?
Well,
More of a liberal area.
Nonetheless, as the President of the United States gets up today, he's got to feel pretty good because jobs up and illegal immigration down.
At some point, these lawmakers need to listen to their constituents, or they're going to continue to lose like this guy did.
And if you don't mind, I have a source that has some breaking news. We
don't mind.
It's true. The ambassador to Russia has been named, and it is going to be Governor Jon Huntsman. And joining us now for more on this is Abby Huntsman.
Oh, you're terrible. I love it.
Abby, congratulations to your dad.
Can you confirm or deny this?
You know what? I can only confirm what the White House is saying, but I will say that he will be fabulous.
I know he will.
Ends up happening, he will be
great
fabulous.
news for America.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys, there's some breaking news we want to get to a Fox News alert. The FBI launching a massive investigation to hunt down the mole who leaked CIA's top secrets. Thousands of agents and contractors will be questioned over the leaks that expose secret hacking programs designed to spy using smartphones and TVs. Now WikiLeaks is warning more documents are on the way, tweeting this. WikiLeaks has released less than 1% of its Vault 7 series in its Part 1 publication yesterday, year 0. Oh, he'll co-sign on that one. Also breaking right now, AT&T customers experience 911 outages from coast to coast, and now the FCC, they're going to get involved. Wireless users in at least 14 states unable to contact the emergency hotline last night. According to the Washington Post, the issue resolved after about 90 minutes. It's still unclear, though, what caused the outage, but the FCC is vowing to get to the bottom of it. And a women's march organizer with terror ties, just one of 13 arrested outside the Trump International Hotel yesterday. Linda Sarsour is an anti-Israel activist. Police in New York City say she and a dozen others were blocking traffic, protesting on a day without a woman. So far, they have not been charged. Sarsour is known for controversial statements about Israel and has reportedly praised child terrorism on her Twitter account. Terrible story there. Those are your headlines.
All right, Abby, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, one of our nation's top universities accused of trying to silence free speech. What conservative students are saying now, coming up.
What we're having here is we're passing this first installment, which is to gut Obamacare, repeal the mandates, repeal the taxes, repeal the spending. Then we replace it with conservative Republican tax policy. Those things will pass here in the House because it only takes a majority. We're going to send it to the Senate. We're going to put pressure on the Senate to pass it.
Well, there you've got House Speaker Paul Ryan confident in the Republicans' first step to repeal and replace Obamacare.
So what do others in Congress think now that their health care overhaul just pushed through a committee overnight?
Fox News correspondent Griff Jenkins went to the Hill to find out. And you've been up a long time. Hey, Griff.
Hey, good morning, guys. It's unbelievable. 2 House committees had to pass this thing. The Ways and Means did it at 4:17 a.m. And now the Energy and Commerce Committee has gone into its 19th hour talking about budget reconciliation. I cannot imagine what could be more boring. The chairman there, you're seeing Greg Walden trying to push this through. Why is it taking so long? It's because Democrats can simply do it. They can inflict pain. They want to make it difficult because this is the president's first legislative test. And so with all this battle raging, we went up on Capitol Hill to find out exactly what's going on. You guys have confidence in the Republicans to get something that can pass the House?
Yeah, I think we're off to a good start.
I don't think it's going to work. I don't really think it's going to work, and I don't really think they have the votes as of today.
We got to find a fix that both Democrats and Republicans can work together on.
There's so many ways to look at this, but Americans are going to be paying a lot more as a result of this, or have restricted coverage and harder to get access.
I think they want to rush it through, and then you got a pig in a poke, and you don't know what you've bought.
Bad for the American people?
Bad for the American people.
Obamacare has failed. It's failed in its goals. It's failed in its promises. And this is our opportunity to bring back choices, bring back competition, bring down cost of health care.
The Democrats here in Washington want to continue to control people's health care in America, and that's not what the people voted for.
I think we're just going to hang back and watch the Republicans do the circular firing squad, as they say. I mean, it's such a bad bill, they can't defend it among themselves.
How worried are you about Republican criticism or folks that may not be on board fully yet?
So I'm confident at the end of the day we're going to unite behind this measure. I guarantee you we're going to back President Trump versus Obamacare.
The White House is engaging, the president's engaging. This is a priority that he made to the American people, a promise. And I just hope Republicans listen to this. You know, this is what folks asked for, and we're going to go out and get it done.
And this is just the first step. After, if it passes this committee, it'll have to go to the full House floor for a vote, then to the Senate, and hopefully Republicans hope it gets to the president to sign before Easter. But based on this battle, I'm not sure that's going to be the case. We'll see what happens.
Could take a while. All right, Griff, thank you.
Thanks, Griff. All right, coming up, we have a Fox News alert. U.S. Marines on the ground in Syria ready to fight ISIS. So what does this mean in the fight against terror? We're going to ask Colonel David Hunt next.
And putting together IKEA furniture can sometimes lead to some blowout fights at home. Hey, where's that dowel thing? But they've made a major change, and it could save your marriage. Find out how IKEA could save your love life.
So true.
It's an institute you can't disparage. Ask the local gentry, and they will say it's elementary.
We have some quick consumer headlines for you. Qatar Airways unveiling new swanky business class seats now. The Q Suites offer adjustable walls for communal space, thousands of entertainment options, and seats that fold into the first ever double beds in business class. They debut in June. No word yet on how much it's going to cost you, though. And Krispy Kreme is going gourmet. The donut maker is rolling out these 4 treats. They look like mini cakes. They include the brulee, glazed cream, and even a matcha green tea donut. But don't get too excited because they are only available in Japan. And do you have trouble assembling IKEA furniture?
How's that cooling coming along? IKEA doesn't assemble itself, you know.
You're telling me.
IKEA is making it easier to assemble furniture, and it could save your marriage. The snaps, they snap together like a jigsaw puzzle instead of all those screws that you're used to. The secret is a rib joint called a wedge dowel, and it comes pre-installed. Great news. Hallelujah. Brian, you can stay married now.
All right, thanks, Ainsley. Fox News alert. U.S. Marines armed with heavy artillery guns have arrived in Syria. The deployment is part of a specific mission to take back the city of Raqqa from ISIS. So, what does this mean for the fight against the war on terror? And once we take back Raqqa, which I'm sure we'll do, what do we do next? Joining us now to weigh in, Fox News military analyst and author of a brand new book. You got to go get it. It's called Without Mercy, Colonel David Hunt. Colonel, welcome back. Great to see you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Brian.
Hey, 1,000 troops in country. It's estimated they're about, we don't know exactly where they are, and I wouldn't tell you if we did, but roughly 20 miles from where they're going to go, and that's Raqqa. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we've had, for years now, been fighting in Iraq. We've had special operations guys in Syria. What happened a couple of days ago, though, is a major step up. We put Rangers in these Stryker armored vehicles and cross the Syrian border, and now we put Marine artillery in to support them. This is a major operation. We're still down south in Mosul, fighting with the Iraqis, and now we're going full up after ISIS. I mean, we'll take care of this. We'll kill thousands of ISIS soldiers, Brian. It's a great military. We've been doing this for 16 years. The issue is, once you kill ISIS, what are you going to do with Syria and Iraq? And how are we going to get at these unstable, failed states, which are still going to be breeding grounds for terrorism? So, Mike, I'm glad we're killing terrorists. I just think we need more in the fight against terrorism, so it's not doing it 16 years from now.
And the Secretary of Defense knows that. Mattis, he's not a bureaucrat put in that position. He actually does the fighting. That makes us feel better about it. But, Colonel, do you know, or do your sources tell you if we're going to be training and supporting, or do you think for the first time we're going to be taking the lead? Because I know the Army's elite 75th Ranger Regiment has been there, and that's the one you're referring to.
Yeah. We've gone from training and assist in Iraq to actually being in the fight. We're doing both, to answer your question, and we're going to do both in Syria. The issue is, Brian, we thought we had like 6,000 in Iraq. We've got close to 10,000 now between Iraq and Syria, and we're staging more. It's a very serious commitment. I understand, and I'm glad we're killing ISIS. But as I've said, and Mattis is a good guy. I actually know him. I served with him. And I know Kelly over at Homeland. These are good guys. I'm just saying, there's a bigger picture. We got to keep killing terrorists, but we have to get at these unstable countries and the 60 million refugee issue.
North Korea, possibly as big a challenge as has ever been posed to a president. They are as militant and on the march as ever before. We have military exercises going on, so they're shooting off a bunch of rockets. We're going to put a missile defense system into South Korea, and China says, we don't want you to. Here's their foreign minister yesterday.
It is like two accelerating trains coming towards each other with neither side willing to give way. The question is, are the two sides really ready for a head-on collision? Our priority now is to flash the red light and apply the brakes on both trains.
Your reaction? Should we listen to China's urging?
Every year at this date, almost to the hour, Chinese and North Koreans yell about an exercise that's been going on in South Korea for 40 years. U.S. military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, with the Korean military, do a training exercise for 2 weeks. And every year the Chinese and North Koreans yell. It shows the world, but most importantly North Korea and China, that the U.S. is committed to the safety and security of South Korea as we had for 50 years. Seoul is 20 million people, Brian, and it's less than 30 miles from some of the largest amount of artillery in the world. So we're there. This is what we should not stop it. We have to pay attention to China, of course, but it's a very, very important exercise for the defense of South Korea.
And put the THAAD system in. Meanwhile, you have an exciting news today. Your book is out. It's called Without Mercy. It's a novel, but it's based on everything you've learned, Colonel, and what you've experienced in the military. So tell us what we can expect.
Yeah, thanks. It's Without Mercy is a kind of an apocalyptic thriller. It's written with R.J. Pinero, who's a really, really good writer, international bestseller. And we have a premise that has Pakistan intelligence giving ISIS nukes. And that ISIS blows a nuke up. And there's U.S. reaction, of course, led by a female president, an FBI agent who happens to be a woman, and fighting a female terrorist, and the characters that are built around it. It's as fast-paced a page turner as we've ever done. And I think in the genre, it's the best one out today. You can get it at withoutmercy.org. You can go to Facebook at Without Mercy. You can also text it, for crying out loud. Text Mercy at 63566. It's very, very exciting, big page turner. We're very proud of the book. Thanks.
Right. I know. I got charged. I got billed first, and I paid the bill, and then the book arrived in the mail. So that's the way the Colonel works it. That's perfectly okay. Without Mercy, thanks so much, Colonel. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Meanwhile, straight ahead. Is one of the nation's top universities trying to silence conservative speakers? What they're accused of doing that has students fighting for free speech. And have you heard? Jennifer Lopez has some big news. There's a new couple coming to town. She has finally found Mr. Right. Now that he's retired and has a lot of time. Who could I be talking about?
Well, a specialized FBI unit is scrambling at this hour to find the source responsible for leaking nearly 9,000 CIA documents about how they hack into things to WikiLeaks.
Security was supposedly tightened even since the Chelsea Manning and the Edward Snowden breach disasters, but cracks keep appearing in the system, as we've seen.
You know, in October, firm was accused of stealing enough classified data to fill nearly 200 laptops. So, who is this new mole? Here to weigh in, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, we don't know specifically who it is, but we know how fervent they are to find out who it is quickly.
Well, we do know how fervent they are to find out how fervent they are to find out quickly who it is, but it's too late, because the 9,000 documents that WikiLeaks released yesterday is 1/7 of the trove that's about to come. And the documents really demonstrated what a lot of us have been saying all along, that this that we carry around in our pockets is actually a listening device. And of course, the modern ones you can't turn off. But we also learned that certain television sets, when you think they're off, they're not really off. Here's a very disturbing thing that I wish the FBI would look at. We learned about a collaboration between Samsung, South Korean electronics manufacturer whose CEO and chair has just been indicted in South Korea for bribery, and MI5, the British intelligence, to allow MI5 to watch Americans in the United States when the television set is off. Wait a minute is right. So what I'm saying is the FBI has a lot of work here. They are not only interested in who the mole is, they're interested in who's spying on Americans unlawfully. Is it the CIA, which is not allowed to spy in the United States? Is it MI5, which is not allowed to spy in the United States? Right. And are there foreign electronics firms involved in this? They're not allowed to collaborate with foreign spies to spy in the United States.
And it's so tough to find the mole, right? Because, like, if someone at Fox News were leaking something that we weren't supposed to, all we have to do, our IT department would find out who it is immediately. But in this case, these are the best of the best. These are spies. This is the intelligence
people whose job it is to steal secrets and keep secrets, and they know how to erase their fingerprints. Theoretically, there is what's known as an electronic fingerprint every time something is downloaded, but these are experts at hiding the fingerprints.
So we think it's a contractor. However, there was a report from another news organization that they're looking into a Russia leak into doing this, into the ones who might have breached this.
This is, again, why there should be outrage, because we have foreign governments reaching literally into our living rooms. The Russian allegations are just allegations. The MI5 and Samsung, it's demonstrable there. In the documents.
Is there anything that we can do as a country to prevent the Brits from doing
live with the Amish?
The president live with the Amish, meaning no electricity.
Yeah, that's it.
The president during the campaign said, "I love WikiLeaks," because they were leaking things about his opponent. Really has a lot on his hands. I don't think he wants Americans being spied on illegally by the CIA. I don't think he wants Americans being spied on illegally by foreign spies.
You know what, Judge? If there is a silver lining to that, to this whole episode, it is the fact that it looks like, when you look at the classifications, it's not the super secret stuff, and it's older devices impacted. I mean, they talked about how to use a 3.5-inch floppy disk, so maybe this is older stuff. Somebody further down the food chain is able to leak it out.
You're going to see the newer stuff coming, and some of it is creepy. The computer chip in a microwave in your kitchen, when the door is open, can be accessed wirelessly as a listening device. Who's doing the accessing? The FBI has to find that out. That just as important as finding the mole is to find out who's spying on us.
Well, if my microwave oven has a microphone in it, this is what it's going to pick up. Hurry! Hurry!
Does it talk back to you, Steve?
I got to pop that corn.
Yeah, when's the minute rice ready?
Do you cook meatballs in a microwave oven?
Mama Mancini, you can do it in the oven.
Absolutely.
All right, Judge, thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Meanwhile, it's one of the hottest new books on Amazon right now, Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a comprehensive guide. So why is it doing so well? We're going to talk to the author coming up next.
And remember that anti-Trump Day Without Women protest yesterday? It was literally being led, look at that, by a man. Michelle Malkin joins us in the next hour with her thoughts on that. Well, despite losing the election, Democrats are clearly catching the eye of Amazon users. A new book called Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a comprehensive guide, has made it to number 6 on the Amazon bestseller list. And it was only self-published on that site last month. So what makes it so popular today? The author claims the reason is because it's, quote, the most exhaustively researched and coherently argued book on the market. Here to explain why is the author, Michael Knowles. Michael is also a correspondent for the Daily Wire. Hey, Michael, congratulations on the success of this book.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
And I'm sorry, I have to correct you. I just checked before we went on, and the book is now the number 4 bestseller on Amazon and the number 2 in new releases across
That's great.
Amazon.
Well, we've been teasing it all morning, so I think we should get some credit for that. Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
That's great. The book is called Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a comprehensive guide. Now, when I read your book, it was a very quick read. Why is that?
Well, I'm so glad you read it. You know, a lot of times when you're on a book tour, the hosts won't actually read the book.
Yeah,
but
it only took me about 15 seconds.
yeah, what's really great about this book, you can go cover to cover in about 15, 20 seconds. So I appreciate you putting the effort in.
When you just flipped through it, I noticed those pages were blank.
That's right.
Why is that?
It took a very long time to research this book. I've been observing the Democrat Party for at least 10 years now. And when I observed their record and the reasons to vote for them on reasons of economics or foreign policy or homeland security or civil rights and so on, I realized it was probably best to just leave all the pages blank.
Okay, well, I want to go through some of these chapters because in all seriousness, you are a Yale graduate, you study politics, and the first chapter is values. Why are the pages blank when you talk about Democrats and their values?
Well, when I started researching the book and going through this exhaustive study process, first I turned to the 2012 Democrat National Convention when it turned out they were deciding whether or not to include God in their party platform, and the Democrats booed God. That's not good.
Not a good
So
value.
I decided probably if I'm going to make a good case to vote